Today, I want to talk about the importance of staying grounded in our life, people. As INFJs, it's very important to stay grounded. All right. What does he mean by that exactly? Well, I'm going to tell you. Oh, this is Tom. This is the INFJ experience, and I want to welcome you to today's program. So, staying grounded, basically, people, that's staying reality. That's staying in your world. That's just staying firm into your reality. Now, as INFJs, we have a propensity to slip out of this. In fact, we have very strong propensities of slipping out of reality from time to time in our life. And occasionally, hopefully, most of us find a better clarity. Maybe we correct ourselves. Maybe it's our self isolation. Maybe it's our bunker zone that we have to retreat to that finds this. But hopefully, the bunker zone does not become our own unreality. And that's what I want to talk about today, and how things can actually go bad. All right. So the number one reason is, gosh, we're introverted and we are intuitive. Okay, those are two functions right there that put us squarely into our mind, exactly into our mind. That's where we pretty much are, our two dominant functions. But you told me those are superpowers. They absolutely are. These are our superpowers. If go unchecked, if we're healthy, these are our problem solvers. These are our future prognosticators. These are the ones that see in the future. Okay, the introverted intuition is always gathering information, projecting future outcomes, and always looking. We pretty much go extensively onto here as to what the introverted intuition is all about. But it can become, if it's linked in with our other functions, it can start to destroy us as well. But also, if you look, okay, we have the extroverted feeling for the second one. We're always longing. We're always looking for that soulmate. We're always projecting out. So that's going to keep us in a state of longing to have a purpose. I mean, we're always longing for that connection, as we know. Now, we might get disappointed. People in our lives that we think that we trust may betray us. I mean, we've been betrayed. That's part of our trauma. That's part of who we are, who we are. And we had nobody to turn to in begin with. I mean, we're INFJs for a reason. We were traumatized souls as children. We were usually the ones that had nowhere to turn, had nobody to talk to. So we went inward. We went into our own mind and solved our own problems. And we found out early on that's what we needed to do. So those extroverted feelings where we reach out can only lead us into reaching out into possibilities of betrayal and things like that. That could lead us into further things. Of course, we have introverted thinking as well. All right. Our third function is introverted thinking. So we think a lot. And because of our introverted intuition as well, we have a propensity to go into those NITI loops, as they say. Those are some of those things where you're kind of bouncing back and forth, like playing mental ping pong back and forth. And keep coming up with an idea, and you keep going back and forth, and each one kind of contradicts and kind of overshadows the other one, keeping us out. And that can, in a sense, keep you, almost drive you crazy, literally, if it goes unchecked. So again, there's always these propensities that can lead us into things, and we have all of them, capability. So these are some of the curses that we have to overcome almost constantly in our life. So, and of course, that leads us into, like I said, the INFJ problems. Okay, we have a lot of INFJ problems as far as that goes. Yes, we have our helplessness. We have our hurt. Sometimes we go into our isolation. We go into our despair. There's many times in our life where we're confused, and we might start going into our zone where we're sad, we're lonely, we're depressed, things like that. And sometimes these strengthen us. A lot of times, in fact, in my life, I made sure that I was going to make sure that all these moments, I had an idea in my head, I would learn from this. I would grow stronger from this. These were not going to defeat me. I wasn't going to sink further into a despair. I was always going to make sure that these issues, these problems, these emotional wrecks that I thought were not going to devastate me, but I would learn from them. So maybe that's part of what I have to tell you is that that's part of our way of overcoming and staying grounded, is having that mindset that you will learn from this, you will grow stronger from this, and not sink and become weaker. So I guess maybe that's what the point I was trying to make. So of course, the hopelessness too, the isolation, the hopelessness, the despair that we go through, It's hard. It's definitely difficult. But like I said before, I mean, I guess you would have to have that mindset where we're not going to let these defeat us. All right. So those are some of the reasons. Oh, excuse me. And I got one more. One more reason as to why we have inferior extroverted sensing as well. So we have all these things in our mind. We have our mind things. We have our mind. We're constantly in our mind. We're introverted. We are introverted thinkers. We are always in our mind, always computing things. And that's where we are for the most part. Not to mention we have these rich inner worlds. I mean, our mind goes very deep with things. We're very have a labyrinth, a maze of things in our mind that's always there. That's a way of creating, a way of calculating. So it's deep, and we know that we have that deep mind. So all the issues, and also having an inferior extroverted sensing in that way, always keeps us like basically that's our world, that's our window into the world. Is our senses of self are inferior, that we're more in our mind and we're less in the actual world we're in. So these components right away, if going unchecked, will actually keep us out of reality. So I guess the idea, now how do we maintain reality? Okay, so and this is how we stay grounded now. Maintaining reality first. And how do we do that? Okay, so maintaining reality. Basically, understanding that you have function in life. You have your function. You have to actually tell yourself in a way that this is where you are. You have to actually have a firm grip and actually get out of your head. Purposely tell yourself, okay, wait, you know what? I'm not getting lost in that. Focus right now on what you're doing, even if it's just things in around. Occasionally, we have to get out of our head and focus on things. I do this at work sometimes. I'll be in the middle of doing a job, and I have to actually tell myself, okay, don't get lost. Don't get lost in your mind because you got tasks to do. You have work to do, and you have to put these minds aside and just do your job. Okay, as Bill Belichick used to say, "Do your job." Remember that. So basically, that's how you are maintaining your reality. You have to actually tell yourself that you have this to do. You know, even though you have problems, even though you're in a state of you're in your states of problems in your INFJ mind, you still have to go to work every day. I would hope you are. You still have to function in your real world. You still have to go grocery shopping, do your laundry, do your dishes, do your things. These are your extroverted things, sensing worlds that you have to maintain. And you almost have to kind of push yourself into doing these things and maintaining them, and not slipping into your isolation is not going to be your crutch. And you got to get that whole victim mentality that's going to keep you down as well. And keeping up hope. Now, also, people, just you have to maintain some kind of positivity in your life. You have to have some kind of glimmer of hope in your life to keep yourself. You have to keep yourself pepped up in a way. Tell yourself your good qualities that you have, okay? You have a good heart, all right? You know that you probably would go out of the way for in need. You know you'll probably even have your heart out for that animal that looks lost, that looks like it needs help, some wildlife. You know you're the type that would go out of your way. You know you're the type of guy that would probably take somebody out of a burning car. And you know that. You have this heart, this spirit that would risk your life to help somebody else. Just understanding what you have as a soul. And that's going to keep you going. Just knowing that should give you something. Just knowing what your strong parts are in your life. Sometimes you have to remind yourself when you're in the despair, when you're in your loops, you have to tell yourself your strengths and remind you of your great qualities and what you have as a human being, as your INFJ self, okay? But also, and of course, becoming your internal parent. Now, I've had another video on this, people, where I've talked about being your internal parent, where you actually you're becoming the parent you never had, basically. The parent that you wish you had when you were 3 or 4, that you couldn't turn to, that was never there, that you had to become. Hopefully, over the course of your life, you've honed that in and you've become a very functioning parent. Somebody that's there to tell you, no. That's there to be rooted and tell you, ground you. No, you're not going into these. No, you're not going to slip into your little fantasies over here. You're not going into these places that are imaginary. You're going to stay in reality. You have to almost tie yourself to sometimes, people. You have to actually put yourself and say, you will stay grounded. You're going to stay here. You have a world to live in that you must maintain, and you're going to put yourself there. So you have to become that strong inner parent that's going to make sure that you stay where you are and keep, be firm about your beliefs and things like that. Okay? And again, maintaining your life. I think I already said that. That's basically okay, I said that already. So I got this list behind me that I'm looking at that I wrote down and I think I already talked about maintaining your life. That's the one about doing your dishes and doing your chores and things like that. Okay? And the number 5 I got is stay rooted. I think, did I already say that? I might have already said that one. Yeah, staying rooted. Basically, everything I've said, you're actually telling yourself you are staying rooted. You're not going to slip into your mind. And these NITI loops that you go into, and like I think I might have said before, that at some point, if you're into these loops, which also is going to keep you in a state of being out of grounded, these little things will drive us crazy in a sense. I mean, almost literally and figurative. But the NITI loop, yes, I think I've said before in another video that the way I resolve these is that I saw that it was just going back and forth. I mean, in my mind, I actually saw this going back and forth. Maybe this was, hey, I'd like to get this other job, but no, but you can't. You can't move to Texas. No, but I want to move to Texas. No, but you really can't. It's like, all right, this is unresolved. Somehow it's going back and forth. It's not happening. You almost become the parent again. Here's where Big Daddy steps in. All of a sudden, parent steps in and breaks it up. You get in between the NITI loop. It's almost like say, all right, nothing's being resolved here. So we're going to drop the issue. Nothing's going to happen. We're not going to resolve it. We're going to say, no, we can't do neither. If you can't come up with a compromise almost. It's almost like breaking up a fight within your own kids. Now, people, maybe this may not align with your thinking, but this is the only way I could say. You almost have to put roadblocks in your mind. You have to become your own parent. You have to actually just step in and break things up in a sense in your own life. And you have to actually be that. Being that we are the INFJs, that's what we had to adapt. And our parent has to become the stronger parent at some point. And we have to make sure that we're listening to the parent as well. So that's how we stay grounded. That's how I stay grounded. People, I said a lot again. I said a lot. Well, people, if you have anything you'd like to add to what I just said, feel free. I might have left some things out. Maybe you completely disagree with how I think, but this is basically the way I try to stay grounded. And I can't say that I'm a perfect man because I'm not. There's been moments in my life where I felt like I've been in despair and I felt like I've drifted off my own path many times. But that's why right now, at this moment in my life, I think I've become very rooted and grounded in reality and will want to stay there. So being that this is our safe haven, our INFJ channel, this is where we are. This is where we come here to vent. This is our sanctuary, people, our community. This is where we talk about things like that. So maybe somebody out there could get a little bit out of something I just said. Maybe take it to heart and just say, all right, sounds like that makes sense. Well, people, thank you so much for attending today. I just encourage you to subscribe to my channel and let me know you like this and give me the thumbs up and keep me going, all right? And I'll make some more. Well, until then, people, thank you again and have yourself a wonderful rest of your day.